hate to break this to you, your dungeon master is human. Maybe, possibly, definitely mortal. And there's a lot going on over here. We're usually expected to know the rules the best. We have a kind of big picture idea of what's going on in the whole campaign world, and we're playing multiple monsters, some of which we only play once in a lifetime. And in combat, while we're not exactly trying to outthink 2 to 4 players, we're at least trying to keep pace with them so things stay fun and interesting. And we're trying to make sure that the game moves along. And none of that is an excuse. It's just
the way it is. And if you're feeling invisible, we could use your help. Hi, I'm James, and on this channel I talk about all the things that I think about, plan, and plot for my tabletop role-playing games. And today, I'm not alone.
Hey, I'm Tyler. I run the Bard's College on YouTube, where I talk about D&D, DMing, and everything in between. So if you like James's videos, you'll probably like mine. But I'm very excited to talk about how you, as a player, can better advocate for yourself.
Sometimes it's because the player is new, and they haven't quite figured this whole dynamic out yet. Like, is this loot good for me? What am I supposed to do in combat? What am I supposed to say in social situations? What's this whole table dynamic, and where do I fit in among these new friends? Other times it is a shy person who, between the bard and the warlock and the cleric and the rogue, they're just more comfortable falling into the background. But back there they can get lost. Sometimes it is a experienced player with an honest desire to share the fun of the game, to let the new person experience what it's like to get the new shiny sword, to be the one in the spotlight, to make the call to save the world. But over session after session, that can start to become something that is habitual for this experienced player. They always give up the spotlight, and it becomes something like a martyr syndrome, where they're always going, I'm always the one that has to give up everything. And now it's a habit, and that's not healthy. It is the dungeon master's job to try to include everybody at the table, but we are 1 out of 3 or 5 players at the table. Because if it's just you and your dungeon master alone, and somehow your character is not the one getting the loot, making all the calls, not the one in the spotlight, then that is a whole different problem for a whole different video. And in the midst of all this going on, we can lose track of a player. I think there's lots of different ways that this could play out at different tables, but there are 3 ways that I have personal experience with: scenes, loot, and arcs.
It's not improv theater, it's, you got it, okay.
Yeah, I should probably explain what I mean by scene. There are these moments of the game that are bigger than just a single encounter, but not as big as the full adventure. Often they can involve encounters, maybe multiples of them, but the dice aren't actively being rolled just yet. Like, if your parents are out of town and you get into a fight with your sibling, that is a definite encounter. But if you're trying to sneak out of the house without your parents knowing that you left, that is a scene that might involve an encounter with your sibling. If you are trying to sneak out of the house without your parents knowing that you were going to the Green Day concert, that is the full adventure. And often during these scenes, I'm trying to involve as many different players as possible. And when the players get excited and they start arguing about their different plans with each other, and the noise level goes up, and I'm tracking who's doing what where, and what threats to escalate and what to let slip into the background, I can miss someone. And I know some of us are shy and feel like everybody else's thing is far more important and you don't want to disrupt them, but it is your game too. I invited you here because I want to play with you as well as all of them. So catch my attention, call out my name. A magical thing happens when you say the dungeon master's name. All of a sudden the rest of the table goes quiet.
Especially if you're playing online where everyone is talking over mics and really only one person can speak at a time, directly addressing the DM is the easiest way to get your shot. Even sending a message in the chat so I know you're looking for an opening is better than just sitting on your hands hoping someone will notice you.
It is generally up to the game master, though not always, depending on the system, to determine when things have gone from just chatting with a couple guards to, all right, it's time to roll initiative. But that doesn't mean that if we're in a scene and there's something that would interest you, something you want to know more about, something that would involve your character, that you shouldn't feel free to suggest it. Just ask the game master.
Hey, James, while they're doing this, what are the guards we put to sleep downstairs up to?
You haven't picked up anything like with your passive senses. You haven't been actively looking, but if you want to look over the banister.
Can I do that just by peeking over a little?
Be like a perception and a stealth score because you're trying to see without being seen.
Even when a scene is planned, I might be so focused on my notes and keeping the game moving that I don't notice when the ranger hasn't spoken in a while. For players, your character is the only focus, but the DM has to juggle so much more. So nobody will notice that you've been sitting on the bench for a while. faster than you will.
Finally, while it is a collaborative game, we are all individuals and individually in charge of our characters. Some people may or may not welcome some additional input into what their character should be doing in any given moment. After all, the player is not a cleric of death, the character is. It might be reasonable for a person to want a second opinion in how that character might think, but it is still up to the player to determine how that character is going to act in any given situation. And if you are feeling pressured into making your character do something that they shouldn't be doing, then you should tell your dungeon master. I would absolutely have my players back. Something like, folks, appreciated, but your characters are not there right now. Nick's character is. Nick, what would Zurich like to do? This is kind of a gut feeling for me. Often my players like talking with the other players at the table, even if their character is technically alone. I know a lot of tables hate that. The character's alone, so the players should be alone. Everybody else should shut up while they're making their decision. I respect that, but as long as my players are having fun, I really do not care. Go for it. But sometimes they are not. Often I find leader bullying happens without the leader bullying intending it to be bullying. They're telling the other player what to do with their turn. They're excited by whatever's going on. They want to participate. They just haven't realized that right now it's not welcome. Maybe it was before when the player was brand new, but the player is not brand new now, and they're trying to stretch their wings, make their own decision, and they'd really like dad to let go of the bike. They can ride the bike themselves. There's a certain momentum that happens in games when the players do something heroic, kill some monster, complete a quest, and then they get the loot, and then the loudest, fastest decision maker starts divvying up all the loot before anyone realizes what's going on. And a generous player might sit back and go, no, I mean, it's fine. It's just, it's better for your build anyway. I don't need it. It's cool. And that's fine, maybe the first time, but if it happens 3, 4, 5 times, then it can be a bit of a problem.
It's usually pretty obvious which items will fit which builds best, but when those lines are a little blurred and you're not immediately clear who an item is destined for, you should absolutely make your case to the party. Your friendly wizard might not realize that the staff of elemental destruction you all found fits your wildfire druid way better than them, just because they like casting fireball. It's not debate club, but if you can justify why that bit of treasure is suited for you, it'll make it a lot easier to get your fair share.
If nothing else, if your character becomes the least geared member of the party, that's creating a whole different kind of problem with its own consequences. It is all right to say, look, my character passed on the ring and the cloak, but I could use that wand, and I like getting cool stuff too, so I'd really like to be considered for getting this item, please. If I hear that kind of conversation happening, I will back you up in my own way. I won't say give that to the cleric, but I will say I don't have any intentions on who gets what item when I'm giving you guys a hoard of treasure, but I am expecting you to be fair. I can give out loot with class requirements if that's going to make it easier, but I find that kind of boring. I'd rather we find a way to do this without loot becoming some sort of a checkbox schedule. I know some people are going to yell, but you can't expect me to be suboptimal. No, I can't. Obviously, I'm playing with my friends and you're playing with your friends. And as long as you and your friends are having fun at your table, then cool. Are they? Or are they on Reddit and in comments and talking to other friends about how much this sucks that they never get any loot and they're thinking of quitting the game? Have you ever asked them? Story arcs are kind of the long game. As Dungeon Masters, we're providing these quest hooks, adventures, and NPCs with their own motivations for you to kind of bounce off of. And then whatever chaos you're creating along the way, we're providing the consequences to that. And if one player tends to be more proactive in picking which of these quest hooks that you're going to go after, if they're providing their own ambitions, charting their own path through the world, then their story tends to surface more often because they're kind of giving us more to work off of. Meanwhile, the quieter player is in the back there waiting for the right moment to strike. Weeks go by in real life and sessions focus on whatever the loudest, most immediate conflict is, and things get complicated and the main plot kind of coalesces out of everything you've been doing and it escalates. And suddenly you realize that your character has been shunted into a supporting role for almost a year. Good arcs require collaboration, and the Dungeon Master should absolutely make room for your character's arc. Yes, absolutely. And sometimes the player needs to raise their hand.
So we're level 18 now. We just spent the last 3 sessions trying to stop this civil war. Before that, we went and destroyed that culture cleric started by, killing your old god. So would it be at all possible that maybe we could revisit the demon that I made a pact with at level 3?
I'm not the kind of dungeon master who does a lot of mining of the characters' backstories for further adventures. I'm far more likely to mine their actions during the game session. What allies did they make? What enemies did they make? Who do those respective NPCs work for? And what do those groups think of the player's actions? And what are they likely to do in response to the player's actions? And if you're not speaking up during roleplay sessions with those NPCs, then you're not giving yourself a lot of opportunity to engage and create conflict central to your character. And conflict is the seed of stories. I don't care that your character has no skill ranks in persuasion or diplomacy or sense motive or deception or whatever the skill is in the particular game that we're playing right now. I can always adjust those DCs, it's fine. I care that your character cares about what's going on in the adventure right now, or they have their own ambition to go do something else, and that you have expressed it to me. Tell me what they think, what they want, what they fear, and tell me how they're going to express that. I don't need you to do it in character. You can do it in third person, that's fine with me. And it is possible that your character is going to say something that's going to make things complicated. That's even better. Complication is space for adventure.
In the end, it'll be up to every player to learn how much they want to contribute and how much they're fine watching the rest of the party. Some people are truly satisfied taking a back seat and just going along for the ride, but you should never be afraid to speak up. If the other players shoot you down or try to wrestle back the spotlight, that's on them, not you.
Forgetting to include a player is rarely dramatic. It's this drift into invisibility. Moments when the energy at the table is the highest and the load on the dungeon master is the heaviest. When we're worried about rules, pacing, story balance, NPCs, emotional temperature. And the dungeon master should try to include everybody. That's part of the role. And we are human, and this is a collaborative game. There are other people at the table, and if the other players can watch out for each other, share the glory, notice who hasn't spoken for a while, and speak up if you are the player that has been forgotten, then the entire experience gets better for everybody. Tyler at Sparks College did a companion piece from the GM's perspective. It should be somewhere over here, and you should definitely check that out. Until next time, Dungeon Masters, remember, you're a player too. Try to have some fun. You want some scratchings? What do you want? You want scratchings? What do you want? You want up? Questions, do you want up? Do you want up? Yes, up. Say hi to the camera, Questions. Say hi to the camera. Thank you.